guys, it's Miss Sarah from the West Bank Boys and Girls Club, and this week I'm going to continue our story of Arthur and the Golden Road. For those of you that don't remember, Arthur lived in a village and had lots of awesome things that he had found from discovering the environment around him. And then one day, a big scary wolf knocked over and put out the big fire that kept his village warm. So Arthur is going on a courageous journey to hopefully save his village. So let's get back into our story. All right, so that is Arthur leaving his village. So let's see what happens next. And here we go. After a long journey, Arthur finally reached the Great Hall. The powerful door swung open and a voice boomed. "Welcome, young traveler. I am Thor, god of thunder and sky." The warrior god listened intently as Arthur recounted the fate of his town. At last, he nodded gravely. "The wolf is Fenrir, son of the evil god Loki. He has ravaged many villages over the past years. I will relight your great fire, but only under one condition. You must help me capture the beast," said Thor. Arthur could only tremble in his boots as Thor explained how the gods had already failed to trap the wolf. Fenrir had nearly squished Freya, the goddess of love, while she had tried to cast a spell. Then there was Balder, the god of justice, who had only just escaped from the jaws of the beast despite his amazing strength. And Thor's own brother, Tyr, had his hand bitten off when he tried to outwit the wolf. "The only way to stop Fenrir is with a rope made from two incredibly rare items: the sound of a cat's footfall and the roots of a mountain," said Thor. "And by the looks of things, you have collected many strange things already." Before Arthur could refuse, Thor handed him 2 glass bottles and sent him on his way. If Arthur was to catch the sound of a cat's footfall, he would have to find a very big cat. He remembered Atreus' tale of a serpent that could turn into a colossal cat so large that Thor himself could not lift it. As you can imagine, it was not hard to find. Arthur only knew one way to make such a cat jump. Do you see what he did there? A gigantic boom echoed around the valley as the beast's huge paws hit the floor. Arthur held on tight to Thor's jar and captured as much of the sound as possible before making a quick getaway. For his second challenge, Arthur was truly stumped. He had heard of a huge library within the gods' halls. Perhaps he could find something useful there. He searched for an entire day and night, but found nothing. It was only when reading the last book at the very last shelf that a piece of ancient parchment fell out. It was an old map of the Norse world. It showed the realms of the gods, humans, and the giants, and connecting them all was a great tree. The huge mountainous world tree. Arthur thought to himself, that was it. The world tree was a mountain with roots. It looked much bigger in real life. But with no time to waste and legs as sturdy as 2 cooked noodles, Arthur began to climb. There he is climbing. Just as Arthur thought he was in the greatest peril, Windweaver had swooped down and caught him with her talons. She carried Arthur all the way back to the god's hall, where he triumphantly handed both glass jars to Thor. Odin, the father of the gods, appeared and emptied the jars into a giant cauldron. With a sudden flash of light, a huge golden rope began to rise, winding its way through the air. Thor tied the golden rope to his belt and turned to Arthur. "You are truly a brave young adventurer, but you still have one challenge left. You must distract the wolf just long enough for me to tie him up. Then I can save your town." Arthur nodded solemnly, but quivered with fear as he looked at Thor's one-handed brother. What would happen to him if he confronted the beast? He would have to come up with a plan, and quickly. The path of Fenrir's destruction was clear to see. It tore through the forest and stopped right outside a small village. The group slowly descended and looked around for a sign of life when Arthur spotted something. It was a trap! A loud roar erupted from the forest as the most terrifying creatures appeared. Arthur looked on, feeling impossibly small and helpless. And then he saw the beast right behind him. In fear, Arthur ran as fast as he could into the forest to hide. Fenrir's powerful nose quickly sniffed Arthur out, and a gigantic claw began to creep closer and closer. At that moment, Arthur was struck with an idea. He jumped up, ready to bash the wolf on its nose. But Fenrir was too quick. With a loud crunch, he bit Arthur's hand straight off. And then Arthur pulled out his real hand. Fenrir had been tricked. The huge beast had bitten the hand of time and swallowed it whole. His whole body froze in an instant except for his eyes, which blinked in confusion. After defeating Fenrir's minions, Thor was able to tie Fenrir up, while Arthur beamed with pride. As they flew back to Arthur's frozen town, a bolt of lightning crashed down from the clouds into the main square. A giant fire burst to life, and the ice began to melt. The townsfolk cheered and gathered around to hear Thor speak. Arthur quietly went over to Atrix with his journal full of adventures and creatures he had seen. When Thor explained that it was actually Arthur who had defeated Fenrir, they all went to celebrate with him, but by then he was already fast asleep. And that is the tale of the very first Brownstone. Maybe one day you will hear some more of my ancestors' adventures. But until then, dear reader, I hope you go out and find some of your own, because sometimes the greatest heroes are the unlikeliest. All right, everybody, I hope you enjoyed that story and try out something super courageous this week or next week or really anytime. There's no bad time to have a little courage. All right, I'll see y'all next week with a new book.